Amanzi Wethu podcast, where we interview the good old sailors. So, hello again, guys. I hope you're well. This is Theo, Asamata Jack. Thank you so much for tuning into Amanzi Wethu podcast. So today we have Mr. Thomas, Lutho Thomas. And yeah, the reason for this podcast is, to educate and inspire those that are looking for answers within the maritime industry. I'm not going to do too much big of Lutho himself. I'm going to let Lutho introduce himself and tell us what he's been doing. And yeah, what's happening, my brother? How are you doing? What's going on? What's good?
Get yourself, man. Yeah, it's been a while. Haven't caught up for quite some time, which all good. Just for the people at home that are listening, as they said, my name is Lutho Thomas. Originally from PE in South Africa, but right now I'm in Palma. Reason being, I'm in Palma. I'm here for the American on yachts. At the moment, I work on a classical fit ship called Mirage, old lady. But we'll get into the details of the boat. So on the boat, I'm a deckhand. If you guys have been looking into deckhands, that's me. And then also a part of what I do, except for my deckhand duties, I'm also a sailing instructor. And then just on that first bit, I think just to clarify, as much as you can be a stew, a deckhand, a chef, or anything like that on a boat, there are other bits and pieces that you can specialize in. So if you do have a skill, varnishing, carpentry, whatever the skill, photography, drone wrecks, that's like valuable skill. So don't be shy of putting that on your CV.
Great, great, man. No, that's really a good one. As you said, it always helps to have an extra skill. Whether it's being a waiter or waitress back at home, working in bars,
It's all the experience that
working.
counts, man.
Exactly, that's the thing. And it also looks good on the CV in terms of, the first thing that
Yeah.
you can work with people, you can communicate, so yeah, that's something I'd really highly recommend to everyone that's looking to go into the super yachting industry. That really helps out. If you're doing your courses, try and do a job at home. It will help you. It will look good on the CV once again. So, Lutho, can you tell us about your background, about sailing, how you got into the industry, what your plans are for the future? Let's hear it, man.
I started out during COVID. We're start to try and go overseas. I mean, the process of getting over to Europe is a mission on its own, but then with COVID added onto that, it just became difficult. Anyways, so before I had any knowledge of maritime industry, I went to a school called the Law Hill Maritime Center in Cape Town, and that's where the maritime interest triggered. So since being at Law Hill, I've been sailing, rowing, involved in the maritime scene. So that was 2017 when I got into the school. So for the maritime school for 3 years, and since then I've just tried to carve my own way into the industry. Like for instance, for the likes of Full Wade, Theo, you know him as well. Cheetah really helped us a
Like,
lot getting over to this side, man.
not
Uh,
just us, a lot of people, man, a lot of people. By the way, Full Wade
yeah,
is the one that runs Marine Inspiration, guys. If you don't know, I'll put a link in the bio so you can check what is done for
yeah,
everyone, not just us, as I said, but lots of kids. My name's Amachi, including myself. He paid for
yeah,
all my courses, well, not all my courses, but he paid for my trip from. Funny enough, from South Africa to Miami, and that's where I joined Marriott Mirage in St. Thomas. That was the first time I had the Atlantic crossing. I got to Palma de Mallorca, funny enough, where Lutho is, and that's where that's where everything started for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, man. It's really great that you kind of carving yourself really well into the industry. By the
yeah.
looks of things on social media, it's really looks like you're having a ball. you're having a you're having a really good time. Can you just tell us
Yeah,
about the course? Sorry, yes.
yeah, no, carry on. The courses
And
to join
I
in.
was going to ask you to just tell us about the courses. So someone that's you said you're a deckhand. So someone that's wanting to get into wanting to be a deckhand. What should be your advice? What are the courses you'll need to do? Why and what they could benefit from that?
So yeah, so firstly, I mean, if we really think about it, we're working on boats, and boats, we can't just call it the ambulance or the fire department. It's gonna be long gone, like the boat have been burnt down by the time they come or something like that. So to like and then to prevent all these drastic incidents happening, like everyone that goes out to sea that works on a boat has to have certain standards of training, which will be your STCW, and there's a couple of them that you have, like pretty much five of them that you have to do. Your first aid, efficient first aid, that's your first one. Um, your marine firefighting and fire prevention, your PST, which is your personal survival techniques, your DSD, your designated ship security duties, and there's a PSSR, personal, social, and something.
This was
Can't
personal
remember
safety
exactly.
responsibility. That's the
Yeah,
pirate one, I
basically
think. Yeah.
all the like that all just involves like they just make you aware of what sort of standards you need to expect from the boat, from your contracts, your minimum time that you have of rest, hours of rest, just so the boats don't explode you pretty much. So that course it's a theory course pretty much, and that just covers a lot of that. And then once you have all the rest, everything, then obviously you have to be examined if you're fit enough to go out at sea, and that's where your ENG1 when equivalent comes into place. So pretty much, besides all the deckhand courses and all the extras, that's the solid bits and pieces that you need. And then just to add a cherry on top, if you have the funds, a powerboat level 2 license to drive the tenders. And that's how I started with the bare minimum. And then since then, I've later gotten my Yacht Master, which allows me to drive Mirage, a 53-meter super yacht, which is insane. Which is a very like rare opportunity to like. I'm only 21 and I'm driving a 53-meter super yacht, which costs
Wait,
X
wait, wait,
amount of million
wait.
euros.
Let me
So
just clear this. So guys,
it's quite a responsibility.
This is Captain Lutho
Say again.
Thomas. This is Captain Luther Thomas. Let me just put it out there. Ingamzeli, Captain.
Hey, bro, getting there slowly, slowly but surely.
No, and
Slowly but
congratulations, my brother. That's a big achievement. You know, it's not easy. A lot of studying,
yeah,
lot of time you have to put into it, and then just touching base on the safety side of things. That's very important. Obviously, as you say, you know, you guys
yeah,
are you're so far from help as it is. You know, if you're in the middle of the ocean and a fire happens, you know, you the first one on the scene, and you need to be able to and then
yeah, of
know
course.
what actions to take. So all of these first aid, firefighting, these ones help out a lot, guys. So yeah, this is something you can't hide from or not do. You need to be able to do this, you know. And then what
Yeah.
you mentioned, powerboat level two. So what are the benefits of powerboat level two? Being a deckhand. Well, yeah.
I
Why do you need that in yachting as a deckhand?
I mean, I'd say all boats, if not most boats, have little things called tenders. Tenders are pretty much so the concept of a tender is if a boat is anchored out in a bay and you don't want to go ashore, you can just use the little boats just to go in and out, and we use tenders a lot. And the advantage of having a powerboat license is the fact that you're just an additional tender driver, which can be very helpful like at certain times because not everyone is up at the same time, so everyone is constantly on rotation and um, usually boats like even skews. So like if you're a skew, you have powered level two, you have the upper hand pretty much. It's basically having the upper hand. Also, for me, I found that just having that small boat experience before going to my yacht master, that just gave me more confidence, just getting used to the boat, especially if you're someone who's willing to go further into this industry. I think it's a very good thing to have, very valuable as well. It doesn't expire, so it's yours forever. You could potentially endorse it, commercially endorse it if you wanted to, but that's another topic on its own. And you could work officially as a small open boat driver or whatever. But in any case, yeah, it's a ticket to fall back on. Although it's small, as I said, you can endorse it. You can do something on the side whilst waiting for a job. And yeah, so yeah, for me, power level two license. Um, I mean, there's loads of other courses that people tell you to do this, do that, but for me, those are my basics. And yeah, and as Thea said, the STCWs, those just like minimum safety standards. Because you do things over and over again, and it gets to a point whereby you don't have to think about it. Like there's a fire, do the drill. Oh, there's a medical emergency, do that drill. Let's say the boat is about to sink. You know, you train on personal survival techniques, how to get into life rafts, how to survive, all the rest. So although it might be a long week of learning about new about boats and standards and all the rest. It's very important. And now and again, often go back and look at my notes and like, especially now that I'm progressing into my career as well. I want to remind myself of those pure basics, and that's why we essentially renew our certificates every 5 years for that particular purpose. So yeah, that's about it
That's
on
good.
that.
Yeah, just to get the hang of it, and yeah, once again, it's so important to know the rules of the road, especially at sea. It's not like first of all you're driving a car that has brakes, something. So these are a lot of things you learn. Even I would say coming off a parking of a boat, as I say, I want to make it very simple because people don't understand. Those are things you need to learn. And also the powerboat level two, as Lutho says, has a lot of specs from it. You have the license forever, and while you're waiting for a job, for example, you could be doing driving a tender in the waterfront or something like that. Where you could
Yeah.
be getting more comfortable on a tender, and then once again that stands out in your CV. If you're green, you've never been into the yachting, but you're very confident on the tender. I'm definitely sure that's something I kept it caption and be like, okay, he's good with the team. You know, that's very great, man. No, I'm great. I'm very happy once again that you're striving and you've done all your courses. Soon you'll have those three stripes.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, and then can you just tell us about because I know you also got a sailing background. Can you tell us how you got into that? When you got into it, and how that's helped you on your way in the shipyarding industry?
So yeah, so when I got to the school in 2015, 2017, sorry, sailing wasn't really a thing at the time because we still had Homero, which was still being refurbished a little bit. So but most of the time I was rowing. So I started rowing. So I started rowing. So that's when I first got in the water. Never have I done like maritime sports or anything like that. Swimming wise, like couldn't swim and all the rest. So everything at the school was like everything I know, I picked up at the school and I sort of just built on it. Um, but then yeah, just going back on the sailing. So yeah, I think early 2018 when the boats were like all good to go. That's when I started getting to sailing, and I really enjoyed it for like really enjoyed it. I saw myself doing that for the longest time, and something that I did for me just to like just keep on getting better. I raced every week that I could, every Wednesday, every Saturday, just put in the hours. And I think 2018 as well, the the spring regatta in False Bay. And then the manager at the time was Lindsay. And Lindsay, I was like, Lindsay, I'd like to race, but I don't know if I have the right experience. And she was like, okay, no worries. I was sitting in the clubhouse upstairs, and then a boat owner called Paul is like, "Oh yeah, we have space for one more." Like, space for me? Like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. on the dock. I'm like, yeah, cool, no worries. And I think I won my first big medal. I think so. We won silver at Muir Nationals, South African sailing, which was pretty cool. Didn't expect that to be in the winning team. So that I think that was my first accomplishment that I had in my sailing career. Later on, went to compete at youth nationals at the end of my high schooling career. But then after that, COVID hit and everything just came down on a low. But a job. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier on, I got a job as a Deckhand, but most importantly as a sailing instructor. And I think that's what sort of kept me going. So that's my sailing now and again. And our boss, our boat owner, he has two other sailboats as well. So I get to sail with them as well. So I think the moral of the story is if you really wanna get into it, like you just gotta put in the hours and time. For instance, small things like tying your knots, like when the mate was like, "Yeah, that's a how do you know that?" Because most people that get into industry, like they don't really know knots and all the rest. So, like for instance, if wants to be a deckhand out there, knowing your basic knots even more, maybe not too hectic, but a bowline, a stopper knot, a figure of eight, uh, a hitch like a clove hitch, a what else is important there? A bowling on
Slap
the bike,
knots.
maybe.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll say those are pretty much the what the captains would ask for, or would be impressed if you know how to do them. These are basically guys, knots that you use every day, knots that you use on fenders, knots that you use on a I don't know, tying something together, so yeah, it's definitely good to therefore, even YouTube, University of YouTube, that's the best thing
of
we have
course.
nowadays. If you have time waiting before you head to
Yeah,
the Mediterranean season or the Caribbean season, learn your knots, watch YouTube videos, just basically educate yourself, take the time to put interest in the career that you're about to pursue, put some
yeah,
time and effort, and yeah, it'll pay back. So talking about being at the right place at the right time, hey, meeting that boat owner who gave you a great opportunity to therefore sail on his boat. What a great way. I had the similar thing when I walked into Royal Cape Yacht Club, I was just like, what? On a sailboat, and I told them obviously about my bartending experience, and I thought that I was gonna, make cocktails for the guys, like opening endless beers. I think it was like 45 minutes into the sail. It was just like hoist, hike, everyone shouting. I was like, nah, I'm not coming back here. He was like, I'm. There was this one guy kept asking me, oh, could you swim, mate? It was like, come on, bruh. And so one day, the big bully said, I'm sitting right on the bow, man. I'm just like, is this normal, And then I'm like, no, man. At the same time, I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm like, nah, this is chill. And obviously going
yeah,
downwind, the beers are going around. Next thing, oh, hi, boys. It's like, no, man, why are these guys shouting? Oh, and they start swearing. I'm like, no, man. I just realized that was the sport. It was just very competent boat that I was on, which was Mount Gay with Robbie Van Rooyen. Shout out to Robbie Van Rooyen
yeah,
for also opening doors for me, the owner of the boat letting me come on there. So that's great. And
yeah.
then you mentioned Law Hills Maritime School. Could you tell us about Law Hills Maritime School? Obviously, guys, you'll see it a lot on on my website and on my social media. This is a school
Yeah.
where we raise money and help kids towards their bursaries to finish their high school education. For those that don't know, I wasn't there personally myself. Lutho was there.
Yeah.
Lutho was the head boy. So I'm sure he's gonna give us some good news and what happens at the school.
Yeah, so yeah, I think I'll start with my process on getting to Law Hill on like it was random. It was quite random. So as I said, I'm from PE. PE is obviously on the coastline, and we have a port. Like I've seen like ships. I was like, oh yeah, it's a ship. Yep, and that was it. But then when I got to the school, so yeah, just with the application process. So I was in school, grade 9, and my math teacher's like, take these forms, go apply to bursary in Cape Town. It's a great opportunity. At the time, I was in a township school in Yachting, so it wasn't the best conditions. I'd say. Um, so yeah, take these forms, apply, send them to Cape Town. Next thing I know, I've been accepted to that school, and all the like every time like, oh, I've been accepted to maritime school, maritime like. It's not maritime, it's maritime. First, okay, it's maritime.
Aman! Hey, bro, it's the same thing for me also when I joined in sailing, people would laugh. Suka good team, can you even swim? But I was like, man, that's not gonna let me down. You know how the bras are in the corner. You come back for a meal
Yeah,
with
bro.
your tongue bag. Like, Suka, have a good
No, bro, the legs.
team.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, like yeah, that was my first encounter. So yeah, I get to the school. So yeah, basically it's a school, or I mean the main school is Soundstone High School, but then the maritime division or the hostel, the boarding house that specializes in the add-on maritime subjects, that's called Law Hill Maritime Center. And at the school, they pretty much focus on maritime subjects, as I said. They have three subjects now, but when I started, they only had two. I did maritime economics, which predominantly focused on shore-based careers and just understanding the background, the history of maritime, and like from like the days how they discovered Cape Town. We learned about Cape Town Harbor, the history, etc., etc. And then the other side, nautical science, which I found very interesting, which focused on stuff like your chart works. So nautical science, pretty much. If you're focusing on being on deck, driving the boat, being a captain, that was like for me. So I was like in tuned in that stuff. Yeah, I'm taking like paying attention, and I think from like when I walked into my first nautical science class in grade 10, it was predominantly just jargon form. I'd say the first 3 months, like just learning everything because it's a different language at sea. I'm sure
Yeah,
Theo, like when you first got on the boat, you're like, "What galley? What alley? What are you talking about?
yeah. Port starboard, what? And left
Stop
on
what?
your
Stop
right.
what?" Yeah, exactly. So yeah, at the school they eased us into like so grade 10, first 3 months, predominantly jargon, like basics to chart work, what is a chart, blah blah blah, explaining everything. So yeah, from that onwards, and that also tied into like the sailing, the rowing, because you could be learning something in the classroom, and the weekends after school, you practicing that on the water, which is a cool setup. Like I think that's one of the things that helps a lot of people at the school because you be like it's different from university. I'd say it's a very different experience, and um, it's something I'd say that helped me a lot. The school helped me a lot because I wasn't gonna get into the maritime industry as I said, but yeah, the school did me wonders. So yeah, let's focus on that, and then now they have an additional subject called marine science, and that's just the marine biology, the fish, uh, phytoplankton, zooplankton, all the rest. Not really interested in that, but then that's also another avenue for other people who don't want to be a ship's agent, a ship's broker, or an engineer, a chef, whatever. So it also caters for other people as well. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, and then I think at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we were the only high school in the world when uh, was it Captain Cox that donated the simulating system at the school. So the Ictus, so we had the a radar and an Ictus simulator upstairs in the ship's library, and that is like another level of education to what we were getting.
Mm.
So the ship simulator and the radar is pretty much what you'll find in a bridge of any boat, like from a small fishing boat to a big cruise liner or whatever. So us practicing with that equipment was like I feel comfortable. So when I got on Mirage, it was like sort of not second nature because we didn't do it like all the time, but I at least had an understanding. So my first look out or something, I was like just expecting everything in the bridge. The captain was like, "Oh yeah, you know a few things." Yep.
Oh man, that's so cool, man. That's
Yeah.
so
So yeah.
cool.
So yeah.
That's
Just
such a sorry.
say again. No, no. Carry on.
Just
Carry
such,
on.
it's just such good knowledge, man. Such good way, and I think there's no other better way to do it than like prepping yourself before diving deep into the water. You know, and
Yeah.
it's always good to. I mean, you don't always want to be like, oh, you know everything. But it's either
Yeah.
you show interest or you just like, okay, I can do it, and
Yeah.
that's the best way, man. And I always say with this time of obviously getting to know Law Hill's Maritime School, working alongside with them, knowing what
Yeah.
they do, it's, man, a school that I wish I went to, and
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
bro.
doing the best. Hopefully my brothers listen to me and, go to that school. It's so
Yeah, man.
crazy.
Yeah, it's
And
just
it's
a.
nice, obviously. Yeah.
No, carry on, man.
No, no, go on, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, although like it's just a school, but the people that you can meet, not only the students, because like all this, so the main concept at Loyal, like every student there is on a bursary, and the bursary sponsors could be a person, a company, and I'd say like just to list some of the big ones, for instance. Maersk, South Marine, like TK Tankers, Transnet, Samsung. So it's like big organization that play a big part in the maritime industry. And like the directors and all these people, like the big people come and like you get engaged with them. So not only are you just getting knowledge, you also getting like the connections. You might impress the right person and they're like, yeah, they like you and they're like, yeah, come work for me after school, blah blah blah. So it's like it's not only about the journey. It's not like oh I have to focus on this, get good grades and all the rest. But it comes into like just being yourself, being a person, like being social, being interested is a big part. I say asking questions. There's never a dumb question. Um, yeah. I mean, at the school, I've probably met like quite a lot of important people, and some people fly out. For instance, when we have our annual prize giving awards ceremonies, like there's quite a few, and obviously I was head boy at the time, so I'd be out making a speech, and afterwards the people, oh hello, I'm so and so. I'm like, damn, I'm meeting all these people. It's a very big opportunity because after school, I didn't just go in straight into the maritime industry. I mean, into the yachting industry. I worked for Maersk for a year, or APM terminals at the time, before jumping in over to the other side. And I mean, I'd say it's just like the people I've met. Before I worked for Maersk, I met some people from the company already, and I was like, I think that gave me an upper edge, I'd say as well.
Nice, man. That's cool, man. That's really cool. Yeah, it just, it sounds like, well, it doesn't sound, Law Hills definitely gives them a variety of platforms, for the kids that go to the school. As you say, they prepare you for land jobs, so if you do at some stage take a career in the maritime industry and decide to change, they kind of prep you for both ways, which is really great. And then obviously meeting all those people, as you say, you can just be at the right place at the right time, one guy likes your approach or the way you're saying things or your knowledge, and he could pull you on immediately, and therefore you could be set for the next job. Yeah, man, definitely, Low Hills is doing the right thing. So going to you had a bursary, right, to go to Low Hills.
Yeah.
Could you just tell us how you came across that, and what was the process of getting it, and yeah.
So when I first arrived at Law Hill, I didn't have a bursary for maybe a month at the time, but a company called Capital Land Asset Management, they were interested in sponsoring me. Mainly, I was from PE, and then so they used to manage malls and shopping centers around the country, mainly in townships or rural areas. It's a long concept about the company and the mother company, but basically, uh, the aim or the goal is to so okay, I think I have to explain it shortly. So there's all the UIFs and all there is. All that pile of money goes into a pool, and obviously that money has to be invested into something, and that mother company buys or manage. Yeah, they like pretty much buy or build malls, and they have the other company, which is Capital Land, which they manage, and the part of the mall they manage was in PE where it came from. So and owner is the same as well, William Brooks. Um, so at the time, he was sailing at Royal Cape. He was part of the board at Royal Cape. He was the treasurer, and I think at the same in the same year, Royal Cape also sponsored two students at Low Hill, which were in my grade as well. So he just heard about Low Hill through Full, I think, at the time, and he was interested. He's like, yeah, I want to sponsor, and they chose me. And then I think after meeting them, like I wasn't really involved in the process of me getting a bursary. I was still just new and astonished by everything around me. Usually, Mrs. Owen, she's part of that, but then they were happy to take me under the wing. And also another perk that I got was to sail with the boss because he had a nice racing boat called Regardless, and
Oh, I saw them that too. I saw them that. Oh man, regardless.
but I think you might have sailed on the older on this the Simonis 42 or something. He built
I don't remember. I
that
know it was just a once off. He had. I don't want to mention names, but Mr. Brook. He had given lent the boat to our sailing instructor when I was Royal Cape Sailing Academy. And obviously we had the privilege, all the Sailing Academy kids, to then go on that boat. I still remember I got into a lot of trouble that day because I had taken on something I didn't know what exactly it was. you know. Yeah, our German instructor Harry Brem. Theo, I asked you very clearly about this thing, but you don't know. Yeah, so regardless, I saw Mr. Brook actually in the UK when I was in the UK, and yeah, we had a chat about that, and yeah, nice man,
yeah.
that's great. And so, what is your plan then? What is your plan within yachting? Are you going the captain route? Are you, I don't know, planning after officer going into the engine room? As you know, a lot of people tend to, how can I say, change. And I mean, it's normal for anyone. People tend to love
Yeah, of
different
course,
things.
yeah. Yeah, I know a couple
It
of
might
people
sound
that
like a
have.
stupid question, but I've seen it. I've seen it so many times. Like a guy's like, nowadays OW and then decides he's going in the engineering. You're like, what? But yeah,
Yeah,
please
man.
tell us what your plan is. What did you like out of this yachting?
So I think so this year I'm starting my Office of Watch courses over W3000. So that's the next big ticket I'm gunning for.
Oh, I
Uh,
have no
I
doubt
mean,
you'll get that, my brother. Tamak, my
the
Fuman,
stomach bullshit.
Tamak,
Yes,
woman.
sir. So I'm starting that. I want to I mean, the whole thing with the OW, you gotta do your EDH, your efficient deckhand, and that has to lapse for about 18 months before you take your RO. But I want to do it in over 3 years just so I can ease into myself. I don't want to be panicking for my RO. I don't like panicking, so I'll take my 3 years. I'll do all the course that I need to do. Um, I mean, planning on sticking it on deck, getting my captain's gig, and then I'd, I'd say, touch wood, 5 years to get my master's, 3,000. But
Nice.
yeah, that's the route I'm sticking to. I mean, uh, with the other departments, I'm not too familiar with the engine room side, but I know there's I think on just in terms of I don't think I have enough knowledge to comment on that side. Uh,
No,
yeah,
no. It's all good, my brother. It's fine. I
yeah,
just wanted to know. I wanted the people. I'm sure the people at this time were like, what's this guy gonna do from now on?
yeah,
Which is yeah, and yeah,
yeah.
man.
But
Uh, yeah,
no. So before the OW, I think within by the end of this year, I wanna try and do my Yacht Master Ocean. So the Yacht Master I have is the offshore, and that has certain limitations. For instance, 150 nautical miles from a safe haven. So for those who don't know what a nautical mile is, a quick calculation is 1 nautical mile is equal to 1,852 meters, close to 2 kilometers. So that's how far away you can be away from a safe haven. So a safe haven could be an island, like like the closest point of refuge. If something had to go down, where's the closest point? So you can't go like more than 150 miles. So the ocean, that just as it says, Yacht Master Ocean, you're free to travel anywhere you want to be. So that's the plan. And then end of the year, or 2025, we're planning on doing the Cape to Rio. I don't know if I told you that already.
yes, you did. You
Uh,
mentioned that. Yeah,
so doing that, and then the whole concept is to try and also raise funds the same way that Full did, for a certain cause. Nothing is official at the moment, but yeah, everyone stand by to stand by.
nice. Oh yes, my brother. And yeah, so guys, Olu Shania, he has his own organization, which has done so much great work. And he's told me so much about the future. I'm not going to burst it out, as you said. So Ludo, please tell us about your foundation. What is your plan? What made you start
Yeah,
it?
so
And
I created the first time I got in, I was so shocked about how much money you can get. Like for me being, I think at the time I was 19, I was like, yo, is this my life now? And I just wanted to share the love, and just also give someone else the opportunity, to experience what I'm experiencing. And I chose, so I had the idea, I started the charity. And then in that first year that I joined, I worked on bringing over a student, and he's working with me to know Mayor. Yes, sir, let's go.
let's go.
He's working with me. He's a daycare on my boat. And and then I think on the 22nd, we bring in two over, 22nd of March, bring two other students. And the concept behind the charity was I sponsored someone, so I paid for all the flights, courses, and all the rest. And when they were like all sorted, they paid me back my money, no interest, not like that. Like, and there's no time for them to pay back. So I'm not a bank. And then the goal is for them to find someone who's interested, like choose the right candidate and do the same thing for them. So they'll sponsor them, pay for their courses, and then after they get pay the money back, and then that person also does the same thing for someone else. So it's like a ripple effect that we're trying to
Nice.
create, and like just
Yes, my
get
brother.
people into the industry, like start an awareness sort of. Well, it always start like with one person, take that first step, and yeah. So that's the Lutho Thomas Foundation. Yeah.
Nice. Lutho Thomas Foundation. I'll be putting the link in the bio to everything. I plan to put this on YouTube and on Spotify and many more other platforms. and I'll make sure I'll add the link so people can see what you're doing. Guys,
yes, sir.
As you hear it, that's the same motivation that drove me. I got to help get into the industry, and that's the reason why I got Amanzi Wethu, which means our waters. I was helped by so many people get to where I am. And Amanzi Wethu is a non-profit organization that is contributing towards bursaries for kids to therefore finish their studies at Law Hill Maritime School. Brother, what you're doing is great, man. What you're doing is really great. And don't give up, man. Just keep pushing. And we send the elevator down wherever we can.
Yes, sir.
That's how it is. We need to help each other out. And as I said, this is a platform I'm creating to help everyone that wants to get in the industry. This platform I'm creating, my brother, is to kind of answer as much questions as possible. I'm sure you know how it is coming into the industry where, you don't have much knowledge, you've invested so much money, you're worried, you have so much questions, you don't know what's going on, and through this, hopefully I can help a lot of people, not just with bursaries, but with knowledge. And, knowledge is power, my brother. Amanzi Wethu podcast, where we interview the good old sailors.